Joe, before we get out of here, because I'm gonna let you out a little bit sooner since you're at the Super Bowl and got a lot of things going on. It was reported today, and Steve Sarkisian was asked a question about: is there any competition between Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers? I just don't see this as a story.
I can understand.
CEO of Believe, Ron, happenstance.
A lot of appearances that we're getting today from everybody at Believe. Honestly, Blake, and I know that you don't like the thought of this, and you're kind of downplaying this. I don't think it's ridiculous to bring up the possibility of him competing for the job. I really don't.
Stop.
The guy was, at the end of the day, not the number one recruit in his class after things kind of transpired a little bit, but still was one of the most highly recruited players of all time. Why would you not at least find a way to work him into the game plan, work him onto the field? I think that you got to at least go let him compete. I just, for what he does for the program, to risk him potentially wanting to leave after frustration, I don't know why you would immediately sell him out, and it's not even the end of February.
Because I don't think he's ready, and there's nothing wrong with that. See, like, y'all did not see him play in high school in person. I did. Okay? Look at Cam walking behind Braun like a dog on a leash. All right.
It's going to be like that the rest of the week.
Of course it is. All right. I got completely distracted by Cam just following Braun everywhere. I just Joe, there's nothing wrong with him not being physically ready. Okay, and you've got a fifth-year quarterback, senior quarterback, who leads this team. Like, what are we discussing? Like, are we thinking that he's going to?
Sorry, no, continue. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish your point.
I mean, like, why does Sark have to say this about Arch? I mean, we have not seen Arch play.
You couldn't at least pretend, though? For Arch's sake, you couldn't at least pretend that maybe there was like a little bit of competition. I just feel like
if his name was Arch Smith, would we be pretending? If he was the number one player in the country and his last name wasn't Manning, what would we say? You know what we'd say? You know what we say? Hey, is there any scuttlebutt right now at Oregon with Dante Moore and Dylan Gabriel?
No, because that was deliberate. We knew why he went there was to sit. That was deliberate.
Quinn Ewers was a starting quarterback as a sophomore when Arch committed. What did he think was going to happen?
I think there was an assumption that he would have declared for the draft this year, but I'm not so much saying, and I think this is getting lost a little bit when I'm bringing up here, that let them just straight up go and compete. I just think to say this in the first week of February, you pull the motivation underneath the kids' feet, when you could have at least motivated the both of them, motivated Quinn Ewers to get better. There were a lot of things that Quinn Ewers could have done better that are important for their success in 2024.
There's always going to be a competition. Maybe he needs to not arch down a couple of pegs. Maybe he's trying to build.
Maybe he needs to knock Quinn down a couple of pegs.
Okay. I mean, yeah. But he's not out there saying that he's a first-round number one overall pick. I mean, do you remember at the Sugar Bowl, okay, when they had media availabilities and no one went to Quinn Ewers and everybody went to Arch?
That's a little different.
No, it's not different. We make this kid into the sensation of Jesus Christ incarnate, and he hadn't played 30 snaps.
Fair. It's fair. It's a fair point that there's definitely been an overblow.
Quinn Ewers led him to a playoff.
I'm not disagreeing with. Okay, wait. He got them to a playoff, but this all goes in line with the debates that we have on this show. Their defense was really important for their success. I think that we're assuming that Arch isn't ready, and I don't think it hurts to motivate the both of them before winter workouts to the possibility that one of them.
He hasn't thrown 100 passes. You don't. There's no way you.
I'm not saying start him. I'm not saying start him. I'm saying that why are we handing it to somebody who was less than perfect? Somebody who you've criticized plenty. You've criticized him plenty on this show. Why does it hurt to not have competition in the room and for guys to compete for their job? You know what? Here's a really good example. Pete Carroll always used to talk about how there was one day out of the week during the season where it was compete for your job day. I forget what exactly he would call it.
Competition Tuesday. Yeah, Orgeron did it every Tuesday. It's called Competition Tuesday.
Starters would compete with backups for the starting positions.
Can I tell you what happened? No, they wouldn't. Orgeron let it slip that he would call it that so that the younger players would play harder, which is
that's the illusion of it. That's the illusion of it. Why am I putting this in Arch's head that things are done?
He needs Sarkisian to give him a hand job in the press conference. I mean, he needs to hold his hand.
Transfers. What happens if he transfers? What happens if he puts no effort? He is a.
Why would he wait to transfer now? Okay. When Quinn Ewers already said he was coming back, he would have already transferred.
That's a fair point.
He ain't going nowhere. And then next year, Quinn's not going to be there, and he's going to start. Let the fifth-year senior who got you to a playoff, let him lead you in the beginning of the season, gain his confidence. You know what Quinn probably needs more than anything? Somebody that believes in him. And I can't believe
Stark believes in him plenty. He believes in him plenty. Okay.
Just y'all gotta calm down with this whole Arch thing because he's gonna play, and I'm gonna tell you, who would have ever thought this? Y'all think I'm making this shit up? I've seen the kid play. He's not.
I know you have.
Strong enough.
That was 2 years ago.
Joe, I know what I know. He's not ready. I'm telling you he's not ready. You know why? If he was ready, if he was actually ready, Sark wouldn't have said what he said.
I don't disagree with that. But my whole point that I'm trying to get at here is it has less to do with him actually competing and winning the job. I'm not saying that he would beat him out. That's not my argument. My argument is that, why can't we allow for this to be open competition just from the sense of two guys busting their ass over the offseason? My whole point is it didn't even have to be said. It didn't even need to be addressed. Just let them go through spring ball and then announce that, confirm if anyone asks that Arch is the starter. I don't know why this needed to be stated. It's unnecessary.
Well, he was asked a question in the press conference. That's why he responded to it.
He could have. I don't know.
I just don't think it's as big of a story as everybody. He's not going to compete for the job. What's wrong with him? Nothing. Can kids progress, for crying out loud? Can kids grow up a little bit? Joe, I'm telling you.
All right, that's fair. That's fair.
He's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich away, okay, from being skin and bones. All right? That's how he came coming in. Kid was little.
Reverse Kelvin Benjamin? Is that what that is?
Yeah, because Kelvin Benjamin's a Popeye's biscuit away from having type 1 diabetes, okay?
I think the quote was put his hand in the dirt, but sure, we could go with that version.
I mean, I'm adding on to it a little bit. I just think that we got to have patience because you know what's going to happen? And let me tell you another thing that I think is happening too. Arch is a case where he's got to be ready when he goes out because the public pressure is going to be immense on him. As soon as they announce him as a starter, whenever that is, everything he does is going to be critiqued and looked at no matter what he does. Let the kid grow up a little bit. I'm telling you, just because it happened with Eli and Peyton, there was a different time. Twitter didn't exist. The newspaper was Arch is going into a world where his uncles never had to go into.
You know what? We make fun of Acho all the time, but you know what? Arch Manning is the real social media quarterback. He really is. You understand what I'm saying?
Say that again.
So you know how Emmanuel Acho got all that flack for saying Justin Herbert was a social media quarterback that, because he makes all the pretty throws and everyone talks about him.
I muted Emmanuel Acho, so no, I didn't see it.
My point is that Arch Manning, I think, fits that description better than Justin Herbert does. Because, yeah, you're right. I think that our perception of him has exceeded the reality because we've allowed the machine to roll.
Completely skewed. And I think he's going to be an NFL quarterback. I think he's going to be a top 5 pick. Because I can see the ability, okay, where he can progress. But, Joe, again, dude, I'm telling you, with these 2 eyeballs, I have seen him up close and personal, and I am telling you, in 2 years, even mentally, he's not ready yet, and that's okay. Start the 5th-year guy. If shit gets crazy, then you make a flip and you start Arch. Until then, Quinn Ewers was the guy that led you there to the dance. Joe, we were asking the question at the end of the season if they were back or not. You can't just run Quinn out there. And I'll tell you what you can't do either. If you are Steve Sarkisian, okay, he knows his locker room. Right? He's not just doing this for Quinn and Arch. He's got to maintain the entire locker room. Okay?